Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to another premiere draft of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Without further ado, let's get into the pack one, pick one, a pretty sweet opening pack here. Best cards are Momo, Friendly Flyer, which can be really nasty with some 3 mana flyers to play the turn after it, but it is a bit narrow. You do have to draft a bunch of flyers to go along with it, so it's not super powerful by itself, whereas the Water Tribe Rallier, I feel like you don't really need to do anything super specific to make it good. Basically, every white deck is going to have a lot of creatures, but not necessarily a lot of flyers. So I think Water Tribe Rallier is a tiny bit better than Momo as a pack one pick one, but these are both really solid options, and I think the strongest cards in the pack. Alternatively, Forecasting Fortune Teller is great in this set. 2 permanents for Waterbending, and there's a bunch of cards that care about drawing 2 cards in one turn, so I'm very high on that card as well. That's probably my third favorite in the pack, but I will take the stronger white spell here and start with Water Tribe Rallier. Pick number 2, Kyoshi Warriors, plays really well with the Water Tribe Rallier, gets us deeper into the same color as our very powerful pack 1, pick 1, or we push to a different color for solid removal like Lightning Strike or Deadly Precision, or a huge card engine like Katara. Pretty nice in any kind of board stall you get into later in the game. It's going to make sure you draw a lot more cards than your opponent and kind of automatically win those big board stalls in that way, since they're just drawing 1 card a turn, but you're probably drawing 2 a turn, thanks to being able to waterbend with all of your blockers. I'm pretty high on Katara. I'll grab her here and see what we get in pick number 3. Pick 3, very reasonable white removal spell, Path to Redemption. Don't mind it at all. Air Nomad Legacy is technically like a blue-white signpost uncommon, but I haven't really found blue-white to care all that much about flyers. That's what the intended archetype of blue-white is, but it really tends to be more of just an aggressive kind of tempo-oriented deck with good bounce spells out of blue and airbending cards out of white. Just curve out with some good creatures and get some tempo aggro going. You don't really often have a million flyers in the archetype, so I'm just going to grab Path to Redemption. Pick number 4, here's another Path to Redemption. Nice simple draft so far. Easily one of the best cards in the pack. Watery Grasp, also very good. It's really funny because these are 2 removal spells that early on in the format, when the set first came out, like during early access, I was not a huge fan of either of these because at face value, they don't look very good. In most draft formats, enchantment-based removal spells can be really risky because you could have your opponent blow it up with some kind of naturalize effect that can blow up an enchantment, or they could pick their creature up back to their hand with a bounce spell. But while there is airbending and there is a little bit of bounce, the fact that these both have a buyout to permanently get rid of the card and the set tends to be somewhat aggressive, somewhat tempo oriented, does make these play a lot better than they look. Particularly Watery Grasp. It was not very intuitive to me how cheap that waterbending cost actually was. Waterbending 5 to shuffle the card back into your opponent's deck. Turns out it's actually just really, really easy to have a couple random extra permanents untapped in your opponent's end step to reduce that cost a lot. Pick 5 is a super easy Messenger Hawk. I think that's far and away the best card in the pack, and it's also the most flexible thanks to its hybrid cost. Pick number 6. Badger Mole's pretty good top end for green. Octopus form is a fine little hexproof trick sticking to blue. Or Swamp Snare Trap moving into another color for okay removal. Certainly not exciting removal. I don't think Badger Mole's good enough to speculate on over just like an octopus form here, so I'll stick to blue. Grab an octopus form. There's a first time flyer that plays really well with the octopus form. That's a cheap lesson to get in your grave early to buff that up. There's also a blue-white dual land, which would be a reasonable pick, but I think first time flyer can be one of the stronger creatures if we get some cheap lessons to go with it for the blue-white color pair. It is also a cheap flyer, so if we wheel the blue-white signpost uncommon, we might actually be interested in it. We're on 2 flyers so far, halfway through the first pack. Not a big fan of any of these cards. I'll take Barrels of Blasting Jelly, just in case we need random fixing stuff. Here's a Razor Rings, solid wheel. Deadly Precision, Rumble Arena, Speculative Fixing. Take Deadly Precision here. All right, we did not wheel the Buff All the Flyers card, which means somebody's trying to do blue-white flyers specifically, which is not great for us when you look at the cards we've drafted so far. So we do need to keep in mind somebody is in blue-white, or they hate drafted that, but that would have been pretty early to randomly hate draft that card because it's not that good. All right, so for kind of an off-ramp, kind of a backup plan, what we could do here, since we got a pretty late Deadly Precision, is take this Boiling Rock Rider and push into black-white or blue-black. It's a very powerful black rare to get opened here. We do need to have other allies in our deck, because this can only recast allies that we own, that we exile with this card. But both of our blue creatures so far, well, 2 of our 3 blue creatures so far are both allies. And white, I feel like 90% of white's creatures are allies as well. So there should be plenty to recast with this. I'm going to take the Boiling Rock Rider. Let's see if we can push into black here. Back to pick 2. Azula's a solid card draw engine if she gets rolling, but she has to get rolling. She only has 3 toughness, so she can't attack through any creatures. You kind of have to have the path clear for her. And she doesn't trigger until she attacks. Almost feel like I prefer just immediate enter the battlefield value, plus this is an ally for Rock Rider synergy. It's a very expendable ally you could shove in the grave early off a chump block, so that you have something in grave for the Rider. I kind of want to take the Fortune Teller here. The other thing about this is that even if somebody else is drafting blue-white, if we get enough strong cards in the color pair, we could both draft the same archetype. Right, we're not necessarily guaranteed black here. Black is our lightest color. Blue, certainly a little more likely right now. Pick 3 Lost Days. Looks good. Sokka's an okay card to try to splash in if we go blue-whites. Not monumentally exciting, but it can work as a finisher. A much more restrictive card than Lost Days, though, because Lost Days makes the cut if we are blue-white or blue-black. Sokka only makes the cut if we're blue-white and we feel like splashing into red as well. And then we have to run additional fixing like barrels, probably spend picks on cards like Engine Room. Sokka does put a lot of qualifiers on the draft from this point out. Grab a Watery Grasp here over Corrupt Court Official, but I like both those cards. Serpent of the Pass is decent as well. So Tolls of War, maybe black-white would be another off-ramp here, but at this point I feel pretty married to blue over everything else. Pick 5, Kyoshi Warriors, nothing in black. And Honest Work is super bad. It's removal you really, really can never cast early. Then Rowdy Snowballers is pretty medium tempo play. Rather grab a better white creature. Another first-time flyer. A little 2-mana ally for us. Cheap flyer as well. North Pole Patrol's fine too, but it's definitely one of the white spells. Let's grab a first-time flyer. Pick 7, Secret Tunnel. No respect for Secret Tunnel. This card wins the game out of nowhere. 2 of your creatures are unblockable for their turn. They have to share creature types, but there are a lot of common creature types in the set. Particularly allies are pretty easy to have 2 of them on the board. And then you just make 2 of your creatures unblockable, so it's just like 6 damage. If you are in a decent enough spot to where you could survive a counterattack with whatever you have left over outside of the 2 attackers, then often if your opponent's at like 10 life, you can win the game in 2 turns anyway. Because you're just like, okay, I'll make my 2/2 and my 3/1 unblockable, poke you, untap, do it again 1 more turn. That's 10 life in 2 turns. Secret Tunnel is great. And it is actually looking like white is probably open enough outside of the other blue-white drafter that we just stick to blue-white rather than pushing into black here, interestingly enough. I mean, we got one more black card in this pack, and it was a beetle-headed merchant, so it was pretty bad. Part of that was self-imposed, right? We picked blue cards over the black cards, but I don't think we saw anything like crazy wheeling in black versus the stuff that was wheeling in white. So we just get to be blue-white tempo stuff. Pretty aggressive curve. Secret tunnel ending some games with a bunch of allies in this deck. Yeah, looks like a really good spot to be. We just need to find some more random creatures. Yip Yip's perfectly fine in the deck. Gives us another cheap lesson for our double first-time flyers that really want those lessons in grave. So yeah, just grab every creature we see. We are good on the non-creature spells. Okay, pack 3, pick one. Good blue or white creature, please. Not really. We got Avatar Enthusiasts or Warship. And then we got a solid black rare. It's a Kyoshi Battle fan as well. It's good with the waterbending cards like Watery Grasp, Katara. It'll quench as a nice spell, but again, we just need creatures at this point. We're on 9 creatures right now. I mean, there's a world where we take Obsessive Pursuit and try to push back to black, but double path, double Razor Rings, solid creatures. I don't think that's going to happen. Probably should have taken the 3 mana 2/2 over the Warship here, since Warship needs a creature to get activated. But I'm not that excited about the 3 mana 2/2 in this deck. We're going to have plenty of non-ally and ally creatures. The Avatar Enthusiast really wants like all allies. Pick 2 is also awkward for us, because we really need to take creatures, but we can't justify taking a creature over Abandoned Air Temple, because this card is just absurd, wins the late game in any kind of board stall. Pretty similar to Secret Tunnel in that way. Pack 3, pick 3. I love Watery Grasp, but we need creatures. Come on in, Kyoshi Warriors. Pick 4, Glider Kids, Iguana Parrots. Not playing Gather the White Lotus. Let's take the Glider Kids here. Get another ally. Try to be pretty high on that creature count and make Secret Tunnel as consistent as possible. Otter Penguin is quite the filler 2-drop. But Avatar Enthusiasts also looks quite filler in this deck. Still might prefer it over Otter Penguin. Yeah, I'm just going to take another Avatar Enthusiasts. Suki at 4 mana. Or Poxbearers at 2. I think Suki's enough better than Poxbearers to take the higher card on the mana curve. Another opportunity to take Otter Penguin. It's Otter Penguin or Glider Kids this time. Again, this, like, Glider Kids is much better than Otter Penguin in my opinion. But our mana curve is looking awkward. Alright, I'll take Poxbearers over Water Tribe Captain. Kyoshi Battle Fan easily over Avatar Enthusiasts. There we go. Now we got 6 2-mana creatures. If we get any more decent 2-mana creatures, I think we just cut like 1 or 2 Enthusiasts and boom, here's our curve, here's our deck. I really don't think Otter Penguin counts as a decent 2-mana creature in this deck. We have 1 Katara and then like 2 Clue tokens. Seems bad. I'm just going to take Earth Kingdom Soldier. I'll run that over the second Enthusiast still, though. I don't think we're splashing into black, but we're certainly not playing Gather the White Lotus. Okay, I mean, I think the deck is ready. We just need to cut 1 more card. So let's just double check our creatures here. Yeah, nothing in the sideboard looks good. Creature count is 15, but that's 15 creatures and... I hate this update so much. 15 creatures and Kyoshi Battle Fan. It's weird that whatever you search for goes to the bottom now instead of going to the top. Like I'm searching for creatures, so it shoves them way to the bottom of my screen. If I want to put the creatures at the top, I have to search for instants or sorceries or enchantments. And this way battle fans up top as well. It's so weird. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I have to search for all of the not creature stuff to put the creatures at the top of my screen. All right, I'm gonna stop. We're gonna get back to the deck building process here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, if you count Kyoshi Battle Fan. So I can just cut like one of the non-creatures. Kind of like leaving both the lesson combat tricks in here to make these first slime flyers a bit better. I just cut off a one-off, or cut out a one-off Razor Rings. We're still running Watery Grasp, 2 Path to Redemption, 1 Lost Days, and 1 Razor Rings for 5 pieces of interaction. That should be fine in a deck this aggressive. That also has a couple combat tricks to leverage during combats as pseudo interaction. Really happy with 17 lands here because we do really want to hit all of our higher mana values on curve to put the pressure on. Not only that, but we have some built-in flood prevention with particularly Abandoned Air Temple, but Secret Tunnel as well to an extent, since it just kind of ends the game in the late game. Yeah, looks like a perfectly solid, perfectly standard, just little blue-white tempo deck here. Certainly no big, high-impact, bomb rare kind of spells in this deck, but the lands do a really good job of kind of filling that role to where we have some cards in here where if we get in a board stall, we're just staring at our opponent, they're staring back at us. Abandoned Air Temple plays like a bomb rare in that scenario. We're just getting counters turn over turn over turn on the board, or Secret Tunnel just randomly ending games. If we get our opponent down to like 6 and then they stabilize, top deck Secret Tunnel in the late game is going to just completely end that. And not only are those cards really good in the late game, but we didn't have to use any deck building slots for them because they're replacing just like a Plains and an Island in here. So really solid rares in here, even if we don't have traditional bomb rares in our spells. So it looks like a very solid deck. Super happy to see how it does. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay, see how far this one can take us. All right, here we are on the draw for game 1 with a no creature hand and what is a pretty tempo-oriented deck. I could absolutely see mulliganing this, trying to get something more aggressive, but this is actually like an okay late game kind of controlling hand. Their first threat that matters, we can Watery Grasp and soak up a lot of damage, and then we've got a 2-for-1 removal spell on their next threat. As long as we hit like any 2 or 3 mana creature at some point, ideally by next draw step, within like the first few draws, I think this hand actually kind of works itself out pretty well. I think we have like 10 creatures at 3 mana or less, so the odds of drawing one are decent out of 3 draw steps. So we have like 6... We might have 12. We have like 6 2-mana creatures. We have a large chunk of 3-mana creatures, so we might have like 6 3-mana creatures as well. Unfortunately, our first draws are just lands, so we just Watery Grasp and move on for now. This Watery Grasp against the Captives is kind of rough on the draw because it's going to give them the time to potentially get to the 6 before we Waterbend if they ramp at all. Earth Kingdom General will get a 2-2 and another 2-2 in game 2. Kyoshi Warriors at 4. Just about the best draw we could have had that turn. Makes the use of all of our mana while we had nothing else to cast for the turn anyway, and it's going to make Waterbending our Watery Grasp next turn a little bit easier, which is something we really want to do before they get to the 6 mana. If they miss a land drop here, that would be helpful, because then we don't have to try to hold up Water Grasp mana. Zhong the Deserter, they did miss a land, so we do not need to plan on casting Watery Grasp or activating Watery Grasp just yet. So we can run out the Earth Kingdom Soldier. Try to get our board as sturdy as possible. I think I'm going to spread things out here. And buff up that 1/1, get another creature big enough to trade into the 2/2s. We may get double removal spelled by Zhong, so I guess there was a little argument towards just holding up Lost Days instead. That way we also have the Octopus form up. But it'd have to be a lesson-based removal spell. Because Zhong can exhaust and copy just lessons. And it's 3 mana as well. They don't have a ton of mana right now. Yeah, so they just have to hardcast a Shared Roots, no copy. Working their way towards Rebellious Captive's mana and probably plenty of other spells in hand. I mean, we know it's no lands in hand. So 4 more spells of action we're going to have to dig through here. I honestly, with an Abandoned Air Temple on the board, might not even be trying to Watery Grasp their captives right now. Because if that's all they do with all 6 of their mana, that's pretty okay with us. So I could just hold up Lost Days instead, and if I don't use Lost Days, we just activate Air Temple. I don't think we're attacking just yet, but we're getting really close. I don't really want to use a Lost Days during an attack on our turn. So if I attack and they like triple block, I'm not happy at all. So I have to Lost Days. Badger Mole is the play. Badger Mole's pretty fine. Just get counters on the board here. Unfortunately, 1 permanent off from also Waterbending there. Here we go. We can Kyoshi Warriors. Octopus form and Waterbend. Cannot abandon Air Temple this turn, but it's going to set up for a much better Abandons Air Temple activation the turn after this. So this turn is like almost definitely their last opportunity to activate Rebellious Captives. Although we have 5 creatures untapped, we just tap them all in their end step. Boomy Bash, the Abandoned Air Temple. Well, that is one of the only ways you can get out of that rare. Fair enough. Still gave us pretty good value. We got a counter on 3 creatures and 1-for-1 the Boomy Bash away. Razor Rings is the draw. Alright, I can attack in with the Lost Days and a Razor Rings up here. We're chilling. Two 4/4s are the blocks. Blow them both up with Razor Rings. They're down to a 2-2 and a 2-3 now. Feels very profitable. Lost Days to Zhong, but I don't know what lessons I'm even that scared of. Toph. Toph's a rough one, because even if I lost Days Toph, they get to redraw them and pick up another card from grave soon enough. They are down to 2 mana this turn. So we get them down to only 2 creatures on their board by casting the Lost Days here. So we just try to outrace them redrawing Toph. Path to Redemption? Alright, that is our solution to a redrawn Toph. First time flyer is a good draw. They could block a 3-3 and exhaust Zhong and just guarantee they're not doubling anything with it, but they are trying to eat a 3-3, in which case I'll just Octopus form. We'll just allow them to Boomy Bash the 5-6. The important part here is the quantity of creatures at this rate, not the quality of creatures. It's a very smart block for them, because now even if I do make my thing a 5-5, it's still a trade. And that just means I don't have to use Octopus form yet, which is fine. Take 11 here. Do not auto-allocate the damage. We're gonna put 4 on Zhong. I guess your opponent can't respond to where you allocate the damage anymore. Yeah, I forgot they made combat tricks just useless on blocks, essentially. When I started playing, damage still went on the stack for about a month. And then they changed that rule pretty quick after I started playing. And then relatively recently, what was it, a year, maybe 2 years ago, they changed the combat damage rule again. Block there takes, okay, they're over it either way. Just making sure this is lethal if I hit the Earth Kingdom General, because I don't want to like hit the Earth Kingdom General and then like not have lethal and then they have a Toph. But I guess it's almost definitely lethal in 2 turns, even if it wouldn't be lethal now. But it sure is lethal if I blow up the General. That is going to be 1-0 heading into game 2. All right, not a great start here for game 2. We are missing our blue mana. We have an early Avatar Enthusiast, a Secret Tunnel in the end game. This is a very, very reluctant keep. Like, in my head, this is like... There was a ratio of how much I think this is a keep versus a mulligan. It's like 51 keep, 49 mulligan. It's incredibly close. But we do have quite a few more white spells than blue spells in the deck itself. And we have a couple reasonable early spells no matter what we draw. Now we have both of our rare lands, Secret Tunnel and Abandoned Air Temple. Invasion Submersible on the Glider Kids. Great tempo play for our opponent, but at least we get to scry again here and really look for the island. Yup, we are going to need to do that. Oh my god. We've drawn more white sources and scryed 2 more planes to the bottom as well. We are working on it. We're doing our best. Glider Kids was a very important draw. If we hadn't drawn Glider Kids and still drew the same ratio of white to blue sources, we would never hit the blue mana. feel like block plus combat trick here is not great against open mana. They could Razor Rings in response. They could have their own Yip Yip. Even an Octopus form. No, Octopus form wouldn't quite be enough. Okay. Now we hold up Razor Rings and Yip Yip, I guess. I hope this is a combat trick. Yes. Unless they also have 2 spells. Then we are really losing this interaction. Okay, let's go. I was going to say that I hope this is a combat trick over like a Razor Rings of their own. There's the blue. Let's go. As I cast a non-blue spell. Because that's also the 5th mana. I mean, say what you will about the draws. At the very least, we didn't draw any more blue spells than what was in the opener. So that was solid. Although at this point, like, Lost Days would be a pretty good draw. We can hold that up and then activate Air Temple if we don't need to use it. Boomy Bash the Air Temple, fair enough. It was actually going to be a little while before I was going to activate that anyway. Scrygas, they're desperate. What 1 mana +3/+3 exists? I guess I'm about to find out. Nope, just Scrygas, they're desperate. Alright, cool. Suppose they could have a board wipe. I don't remember a board wipe in these colors outside of just the tempo play. That just airbends everybody, but we can still recast them. Yeah, it would have to be some kind of rare or mythic that I have not seen that often. Okay, yeah, it's not a board wipe. Earth Kingdom Jailer. Exiling the Earth Kingdom Soldier. Here's where Secret Tunnel's already kind of insane. It kind of guarantees a 2-turn kill. But I don't need to activate it here, so I'm just going to crack the clue and see if we draw anything better. So I can already attack into the Jailer super freely, especially with Octopus form in hand. Yep, we just get all that damage in without needing to give them unblockable. But I guess I could have gave the Fortune Teller unblockable for 1 more point of damage. Alright, whatever happens here, I hope they tap out for it. Just play a bunch of creatures, tap out for them, and then Secret Tunnel. Okay, they didn't tap out, but as long as they don't gain life, this should be the kill. Unless they can flash in a flyer. This is 7 damage they can't block, and I have the Octopus form against removal. GG from opponent. I will respond with the GG, and there's the concession. Secret Tunnel for the win. That is 2-0 now. Basically just winning off of our lands. I mean, even our first win, we got to activate Air Temple once and got the air temple boomy bashed, so it like put a counter on 3 creatures and ripped a removal spell from their hand. This game, even if we never activated air temple, it still ripped a removal spell from their hand, which they then couldn't use on our creatures to slow down the damage that was coming to their face. So really good work from the lands, even when you don't spam them turn over turn over turn. So here we are now for game 3. 2-0, undefeated so far. This is probably our best opening hand so far, but like all of the others, it does have risks. This one needs to draw some more lands. Fire Nation Cadets, turn 1 on the play with the lesson. On turn 2, super strong if they have a instant here to cast. Otherwise, 2 damage, still decent. Okay, we are hitting our lands, which is lucky. I'm just going to Path to Redemption this Cadets immediately and make sure that it stops Firebending. This is in the blue-red deck that threatens to be casting like Lost Days on turn 3, which is pretty gnarly. Alright, Dragonfly Swarm also quite bad. So we can play a 2-drop holding up an Octopus form. Kind of all we got here. And then Sokka, good lord. This is going to be a difficult game. These are 3 very good creatures in a row. Okay, we miss a land draw this turn. Let's play the Battle Fan. Gives us 2 more permanents immediately. So it gets us closer to activating Water Tribe Rallier than anybody else right now. Lightning Strike the Rallier. Yeah, we Octopus form that. Firebending lesson as well. And another Firebending lesson. Alright, well, obviously pathing the Cadets over the Dragonfly Swarm has looked pretty awkward here, but this looks like the dream hand where we were super unlikely to be able to counteract this. Even if we still have the path for the swarm, we have no blockers on the ground at that point. Yeah, I mean, it plays out better for sure, but obviously we didn't know they had swarm. And then no more removal. That is going to be game 2-1, heading into game 4. All right, here we are for game 4. We got the curve with Battle Fan into Enthusiasts. A lot of mana in the hand, but we do need 5 lands for the Lost Days at the top of the curve anyway. Start with Battle Fan, playing against a white deck. Turn 3, Water Tribe Captain. No damage from Kyoshi Battle Fan because we are on the draw. All of our draws so far have been more lands. But at least one is the Mana Sink, the Secret Tunnel. Airbending lesson, a token, draw a card. It's a very good deal. We draw into Glider Kids now. Run it out pre-combats for the Enthusiasts counter. Find Abandoned Air Temple. I mean, not want more lands, but that is arguably the strongest card in the deck. If they have more interaction here, if they have more removal, that's going to be a really awkward draw, because if we get down to just like one creature on board with the Abandoned Air Temple, it's quite mediocre. Earth Rumble. Kill the 2/3. Yep. Well, that is awful. Lost Day's their land now, though, to slow them down. Honestly, does feel quite worth it. Ostrich Horse, pick up the planes from the top. Play it. I feel like they jinxed me with that emote. What the heck? You know what I'm saying? I feel like I have to hold up on blocks here, but then like if they just have one removal spell, it doesn't even matter. I'm threatening to block with a 4/4, so they might just like play a creature and pass. Well, we'll see what they got. Spend the whole turn on their own ability. Fair enough. Katara is the draw. That's a good one. And then we find Pox Bearers as well. Uh-oh. Haru being like multiple creatures off the one spell could be super bad for us, because what we do not have is a wide board. So if they go wide enough, attack with like 4/1/1s with the Water Tribe Captain, we are going to take a bajillion points of damage. Pox Bears and Glider Kids and activate Katara. Scry a land to the bottom. Might have been able to attack with Katara there. We are only at 8. But we do have 2 blockers for their 2 creatures. They haste things out with Haru. The Earthbending creatures are basically hasters. And then attacking with Katara means 1 less untapped permanent. Does that part matter? If they don't interact at all, I think it does, because then I could theoretically... Alright, I think I lose to that, because this doesn't trigger when it gets exiled. I cannot replay anybody next turn. Yeah, that's just going to kill me in 2 swings. But this is what I was talking about. This did make holding Katara up matter, because now I can waterbend and crack the clue all in this one turn. I think that's going to be enough, though. Go to 5. Yep. Find a land, find a first-time flyer. I've got 2 blockers up. I might not die this turn. Oh. Okay, well, I'm not dead this turn, but 5 1/1s with Water Tribe Captain out. That's 5 Haru triggers, too. But yeah, we die next turn no matter what. There's nothing in our deck that's going to clear out all these creatures. I actually think I would have been more likely to die if they had just made all of their different lands 1/1s. Now there's a tiny, tiny chance. We actually have a wide enough board here. To survive. Especially because they're letting me kill the Water Tribe Captain, so I don't have to worry about them buffing anybody. So I just need the quantity of blockers. Scry another land to the bottom. Not going to have Abandoned Air Temple mana here, but I'll have Katara mana. So we trump the plains with the Poxbearers, and then I have enough blockers to block 3 other creatures and take 2. Go to 3. I think if they did not attack with the Water Tribe Captain, then I would not have a way to survive here. Because again, then all those 1/1s are 2/2s this turn, and just too many 2/2s getting through. But they could have another way to lethal, some kind of combat trick or anything like that. Looks likely if the play is attack all. +2/+2. Combat trick. Yip yip or something. Alright, fair enough. Never win in that game. Oh, I had one more draw. I forgot that we have 1 Razor Rings in the deck. Alright, I conceded 1 millisecond early. We had a 1 in 20 chance of not being dead yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, we would have had exactly enough 2 Razor Rings if we had it. So if our 1 Razor Rings was exactly the top card, then I actually scooped early there, but 19 out of 20 chance we're dead to that. Alright. 2 and 2 heading into game number 5. Here we are now for game number 5. We've got an all flyers hand here. Well, the soldiers aren't flyers, but they are showing up very, very late. So everything we're doing early is all in the sky. Very multicolored deck from our opponent. They're running Rumble Arena, Barrels of Blast and Jelly, and Aang's Journey. 3 different ways to fix their mana early. So they may be on like the 5-color Shrines build. Water Tribe Captain is the play. Do hit a land on curve. I'm going to glider kids here, scrying into land 4, hopefully. You're not land 4, go to the bottom. Blue, red, and white is what we see from our opponent's actual lands. But they play the green captives. Yeah, they're just straight up 5-color, splash every bomb in the pod. Probably running shrines as well, but don't know for sure. Messenger Hawk does absolutely nothing on blocks, at least Enthusiasts trades into captives. It's honestly probably worth it. I guess if they play land 5, it doesn't, because then they just activate the captain. If they miss a land here. No. Go to 12. Master Pyondao. Well, I've drawn 0 removal spells this game, so that might be terrible for me. It's pretty terrible for me. Razor Rings cannot kill it when they have a Water Tribe Captain on board. Now we're on just like pass. This feels like an unwinnable spot here. If they play it safe, if they just like attack all, don't activate anything. We don't have any plays that line up well. And it only takes like 2 turns of that to die. They top decked Octopus form off of the Master. Just in case I found a way to get them to activate Captain and then respond to their activation with Razor Rings, they'll have an Octopus form up no matter what anyway. Alright, I'm good there. There's no getting out of that. Alright, yeah, 2 and 3. It will be. I don't think this deck was that bad. I mean, with the way that the game's played out, probably would have been worth running the second Razor Rings over... Oh my god, this arena update. I can't. Running the second Razor Rings over something else. I mean, maybe like the Yip Yip or something. It makes the flyers worse, but we did want a little more interaction. So a second Razor Rings could have gone a pretty long way. But yeah, deck's got a fine curve. I guess the main thing going against it is it really doesn't have any particularly exciting creatures, just a bunch of solid filler, like Kyoshi Warriors, Glider Kids, Katara, Suki. Like, there's plenty of solid creatures in here. Just no really, really exciting, really bomby things that we're playing on curve. What we're doing to try to bomb things out is in the late game grinding out with those lands as we did in our victories. But... yeah, if we just hit some of the more mediocre creatures, we can just get outclassed by better stuff, as we did in that final game of Magic. And what, the second game, that really scary... they had the Lesson Dragon and the Sokka and the 1-mana Firebender. Yeah, I think that's the biggest downside to the deck, is some mid creatures throughout the curve, kind of pulling it back. In terms of win rate, dropping it down to the 2-3 here. So, unfortunate run today, but hey, at least we get to draft more Final Fantasy now that we've done the Avatar draft. So, Final Fantasy draft tomorrow, and then I think Mixer drafts after that, and then back to alternating Avatar, Final Fantasy, Avatar, Final Fantasy, as long as they are out. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.